Doop, boop, boop, doop, boop. Does your solder suck? Does it suck out loud and you hate it? We've got a solution for you. They're solder suckers.
All right. Now we're ready. Oh, and I have a cat here up my nose. Such a surprise in a house with 5 cats.
Oh,
Hi.
yes.
Hi,
It's me, Jennifer from Little Metal Foxes,
Julia, also from Little Metal Foxes.
and
Helen from Little Metal Foxes.
yeah, sorry.
Oh, and cat hairs. More
And
cat
cat
hairs
hairs from Julia's cat's butt.
my mini cats. No, well, let's assume it's not the butt. Let's assume it's like a head hair or a paw hair. Okay, so here we are.
Hi. So,
And
does your solder suck?
maybe your soldering sucks.
Maybe your soldering sucks. Are you using too much solder?
Maybe.
Probably. It's one of those things that I know, especially with beginning students, and when you're just learning how to sort of conquer your soldering things, and it's like I need to get the solder to go, and it's not flowing, and you're trying to fill a hole, and you add more solder, and suddenly it looks like this, where it's like all the solder in the world has been added, and you're like, oh, you
There's
get it,
puddles of solder.
puddles of solder on the
There's
inside,
an
and out.
actual like drift of solder on the inside of this. You know, like it's drifted
An
up.
Indiana winter drift.
Right. It's a drift. It's just keeping you from getting outside in the winter.
So, so I know, one way I've had students, they end up with like a big chunk of it on the inside or a blob on the inside, and they can't get their stone to set even, or you just end up with too much solder on your seam or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like filing and trying to grind it out, which
You
can use mechanical processes to do that for sure, but sometimes you just wish there was less of it and just want to suck it out again. Well, guess what? There's a way to do that. This weekend, while we were doing the Seattle Metals Guild studio tours, we were at our friend Lori Talcott's studio, and Lori is a World Heritage Ambassador for Ephemeral Knowledge.
Yeah. So yes, I should know the term, but the techniques that she uses for doing the Norwegian traditional filigree work are considered by UNESCO to be like, help me out,
ephemeral history.
It's
we're not worthy.
In other words,
and ephemeral knowledge like this, ephemeral cultural knowledge can be lost in one generation.
Right. Exactly.
So there are keepers of the ephemeral knowledge. She is one of those people.
Right. So it's like living. She's like a living treasure. Right. Basically.
Right.
Like the living treasures of Japan. She's one of those. UNESCO knows that the stuff that's in her head is as worthy of preservation as the Taj Mahal or something like that.
The thing that Lori is known for is her Norwegian ethnic work, as well as her filigree, and her also her modern work is incredible as well. So one of the things that she was showing us, she was doing a soldering demo, and somebody had asked her,
she stick solders.
And somebody asked her, what do you do when you get like too much? And she said, well, I use a solder wick. And we all went, oh. It was really interesting. It was like 20 people having a group epiphany. It's like, oh, yeah, solder wick. What's a solder wick? So Julia pops in and goes, I know. And I haven't seen one of these in ages, but Julia, you go.
Okay, so So what Lori uses a number of decorative wires in her work, and so what she uses is actually a highly twisted, multi-strand wire. This is a very coarse version of what she does, and so she'll use that. She'll just touch it to the solder when it's hot, when it's fluxed, and it will, because of all the surface area, it will wick up the solder, right? Because solder likes to run up.
Yeah, it's like a paper towel on water.
It's like paper towel.
Yeah.
But the electronics world, you can tell how old this is because it's from Radio Shack, uses something called desoldering braid or solder wick braid. And this is like super fine. It's copper, pure copper. It's probably like 40 gauge or finer. It's super fine. I'll turn it on in a minute.
Okay.
That's been braided, machine braided together. And then this has like a rosin flux on it. It comes pre-fluxed, right? Which is fine because you would have to flux it anyway. It does mean the rosin burns off at a really low temperature, but that's okay. You know, it still works. I've used it. So what we're going to do today, I was going to show you how to make this.
Make your own.
Make your own if you don't have this, but this is super cheap. You can buy this. We'll put links to this in the description of this video because you can get it on Amazon. Radio can't get it from Radio Shack anymore, but you can get it
hardware stores,
Amazon, yeah, places like that.
Desoldering braid.
So you can go over here. Get here. Turn this on. Come on. Right. So this is the desoldering braid. And you can see it's super fine. Let's see if we can get a close up.
It's really beautiful. It looks like it's some sort of like lovely embroidery thread that you would add to some sort of costuming.
Right.
I mean, it's just
It's like super thin and beautifully braided. Right. And then if you look, let me see if I can loop.
No, if you just held it, you don't need the loop.
Look at all those wires. Look how many wires there are.
So that's a lot of solder space.
That's a lot of surface area, is the point. Yeah. So that is way more surface area than because that's like probably, 20 wires. So what I'm going to do, if you can, let me scoot this over a little bit, is this is just a bench vise. So I've got this wire here, which is this is 28 gauge copper wire. And this is like 8, this is 16 strands total, right? So I'm going to put the end into
so you probably have the copper, in your studio for something.
Right.
And if you don't, and you're at the hardware store, see if they have the solder wick.
Yeah, get the solder. Start with the solder wick if you can. But if you don't have any solder wick and it's late at night and it's you need to get this project finished to turn into somebody, which is always what happens, right? It's 11 o'clock at night and you're trying to finish a damn thing. Then this is an option. So you can put this in here like this, and we want to get it pretty tight.
Or in class trying to finish something.
Or in class trying to finish something that's due at the end of class. And then I want to get that pretty tight. And then what we're going to use is an egg beater drill, right? Like this, that has a cup hook in it. And there you go. Jennifer can pull on that and turn it. And there you go. You can see it's winding it up nicely. And because these are not perfectly the same length, you're getting this variation in the twist, and that's okay, right? Okay. And then it just broke off, which is fine. Now
you've got 2.
Yeah, it's fine, right? You got 2 pieces.
There you go.
Both of these will be useful. Yeah. So this will work. Yeah, you just want to have a bunch of wires on here, and then I have. Actually, I'm going to do this over the table.
And even if you have some, a bundle of copper wires that you can strip the plastic off of.
Right. You just need something that you have a lot of surface area. This is actually flush cutter on both sides. So I'm going to use this to cut this. And so then it like crushes the ends together and makes them sort of squashed closer together, which I think is going to help us use them to suck the solder up off of
solder sucker.
Where's our thing? Here we go. So we have this where you can see
it's a mess.
It's a mess.
Nice and globby.
Like there's this huge glob of solder in here, and then we've got a ton of solder on the outside as well, including a giant
blob of
solder. Okay.
Oh no.
So now we're going to need to take one of these. Here, we'll take this one, we'll take this one, we'll take a little piece of solder braid.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is, one of those like really good old simple solutions. It's really old school. and using it for stuff like filigree. And
So you need to stay with me because I have the microphone.
oh, okay. Hi. Okay. I'll come with her. So we're going to switch over to the solder table over here. Yeah. Oh, come with us over to the other table.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
And can you hear Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. So I want to share my screen. All right. Good. Get in close, but without getting so close that I'm heating up my phone. It's always the trick to be able to see without.
That's amazing.
All right, so there's my blob of solder in the back there. Now you are going to need some flux. So this is just paste flux. Just going to flux the outside too, but any flux would work. And the solder braid is.
And you have to flux both of them.
Yeah, well, I don't think you really have to flux the solder braid because the braid.
Well, to keep it clean and from oxidizing.
Yeah, but I think the braid has the rosin on it.
But
yeah,
the twist does not.
The twist does not. The twist, I would definitely have to flux the twist. So the twist would need to be fluxed too. Get back in the picture here. So I'm going to put a little bit of flux on the end of the twist. But yes, you definitely, if you make a homemade twist, you would have to.
You can add some Prips or something to it.
Right. Liquid flux is probably easier because you could just dip it in.
Right.
The braid, I'm actually going to go ahead and flux the end of this braid a little bit too, because I'm going to heat it up hotter than the electronic solder would. And so it's going to burn off the rosin that's on there. And I don't want the braid to, the wires in it to get dirty, because if the wires get dirty, then they aren't going to pick up the solder. All right, so grab another cross-lock tweezer. I want to have something to hold. Oops, that one's not going to hold very well. I'd be able to just do it with my fingers, but.
There you go. That's the way.
There we go. Okay, so I've threaded the cross-lock tweezers through the end. All right.
I'm looking forward to this.
All right, let's hope it works.
See how much your solder wick sucks.
Let's see how much it sucks.
How much your wick sucks when the solder wick sucks up solder.
Getting ready for the magic.
Julia, you're using the.
I'm using an orca torch. So the first thing you got to do is get it hot and dry the flux. And get it hot enough. We're going to try and get it hot enough so that the solder will melt. And then I also need to get, I won't need to heat the braid, but I would probably need to heat the stick because it's, there you go. Did you see it suck up in there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Magic.
See all the silver that's on the wire? That's all the solder got sucked up out of there. Okay.
Nice.
So now let's try braid. Yeah, I just set it into the stuck to the thing. See it better. Yeah, because I want to suck up this big blob here on the side. So we're going to heat this. Still have a ton of solder on the inside. Did you see it smoking? That was the rosin coming off. And this is getting full of, it might still suck up. Yeah, see, even when it's brown, even when it's dark, the solder wick will suck up solder. Because it's just got so much surface area. Right? Yeah. Now, there is so much solder on here that there's still a ton of solder on that piece, right?
So you could clip off the tip with soldered on your.
Right.
Your
so this part here, you can see has become.
Yeah, look at all the silver on there.
Solid silver. where it sucked up all the solder. There's quite a bit of solder in here too. There's none been sucked up here, but I could clip that off.
Or even turn it around
No, it's all the way through.
to the top.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
See, because it has so much surface area, right?
Yeah.
It's completely.
No, she means to
absorbed.
the top where your tweezers are.
Oh, yeah. I could clip it here.
And use the other end.
Yeah. So I could clip it here,
Right.
and then
keep
I could
going.
use the rest of that.
Right.
Right.
Or you could just turn it around is what she's saying.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But this is completely full of solder at this point. And then this bit here is also has a ton of solder on it. Let's see if I can try not to burn myself, because this is still pretty hot. Let's see if I can get it in the picture. See how much solder there is on there?
Yeah. So you can clip that off and keep going.
Clip it off and keep going.
Yep.
Right. Now this one was the one I used on this inside, drift of solder. And you can see most of that is gone. There's still, I put so much solder on here. There was so much solder on here that, trying to get in a little closer, that there's still excess, right? So, I could get back in there. I could clip the end of this off, and then I could go back in, right? Because obviously it's going to work better if it's fresh, if it has a fresh end.
Right.
So yeah.
You don't want to redeposit it.
Right. You wouldn't want to redeposit the, oops. I want to turn, stop the video. There we go.
Right. So,
But that, my friends, that's how you do it.
Yeah, there you go.
That was very cool. Loved how it just whoop,
I know.
right into there.
It's very satisfying.
Solder wick.
And then, So it just, oops, I need to change the light so it's not shining in our eyes.
It's your solder sock. Get a solder wick.
Or make your own, right? You can make your own.
Absolutely. That'll be a great
Cover shot.
cover shot. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
So yeah, so that's
Cool.
how that goes. So we'll put some links to you can get desolder braid at, as I said, at Ace Hardware. That was the most expensive place I found it, but sometimes it's not about what the cost is. It's about, I need this thing and I need it now.
Yeah.
And is your local
Yeah.
hardware store open? you know,
Right.
or do you have time for it to be delivered?
Home
And then,
Depot run.
right, exactly.
But yeah, this is such a simple solution to get rid of those unsightly blobs, right?
Right.
So easy, so easy. So, and even if you don't have, 28 or 30 gauge, you can do it with heavier wire.
You can, it just,
Yeah,
lots of electrical wires are actually really, really fine, and they're already twisted.
right.
So all you have to do
Yeah.
is buy a piece of electrical wire and
Strip it.
strip it, and there you go. You don't have to twist it. So,
Right. Yeah. So yeah, give it a try. If you don't see
Very
this
cool.
the solder desoldering braid, see if they have like electrical wire that's really fine and twisted that you can get like a foot or two of.
right. Just look at
strip
the
it.
end.
But get the plastic off before you do this.
Yes, take the plastic off. And then the electrical wire, you would definitely have to flex the same way I flexed this guy.
Yeah.
And though it did turn out that I didn't really need, I haven't used this for a really long time. And so I couldn't remember if I'd had flexed it, but you really don't need to flex this.
Right.
As it turns out. Because I was able to suck up solder with the areas that weren't flexed.
Yeah.
I think it probably sucked it up slightly better with the areas that was flexed. Like the part that was flexed really got full of solder.
Yeah.
But it will still work even if it's not
Yeah.
flexed. So
And this is like a couple of bucks for 10 feet
I think this is 5 feet.
or for 5 feet.
Yeah.
It's a couple of bucks for 5 feet.
It says 5 feet.
5 feet.
5 feet. This was probably $1.99 when I bought it. Now
Yeah.
it's like $3.50 on Amazon.
But
or,
do it yourself.
do it yourself.
Make a solder wick.
Make solder wick. Make
So
some
your solder
now
doesn't suck.
so that it's ready. So that if you need it, it's right there.
Right. There you go.
All right.
Isn't that cool?
It is very cool. It was amazing to watch it just go boop. I'd never seen that be used before.
Yeah.
Hadn't even heard of it. So this was awesome.
Cool.
Great
Good.
demonstration.
I love tips like that I'm like, oh yeah, that's old school. I haven't thought about that in a long time. And it's just
Yeah.
it's such a simple solution. So good. Love stuff like that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, people.
What do we got coming up?
Hit that like button. subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we're live, and join us next week for Tool Tip Tuesday.
Never know what
Okay.
you're going to learn.
That's right. Bye.